Hello and welcome to the Apps Event Assessment Tools Summit this afternoon. It's a nice sunny day here in the UK. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and thank you for joining us here today for this free EDU Summit. We've got a fantastic show for you coming up today with some great people and some really good content. So I hope you're as excited as I am to listen to the three different sessions we've got going on today. So all I'm going to do first is I'm going to bring in my colleague Veronica, who's just going to have a few seconds with you just to talk about this next slide. So I'll bring in Veronica to the stream. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, Ben. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching our summit. I hope you enjoy it. So I would like to highlight a few things, and this is really important. Just via Google Workspace. For Education Plus partner. So if you are thinking about any upgrades, feel free to contact us. We are more than happy to set up the trial for you. Also, what I would like to highlight that we are Acer partner. So thanks to our great partnership, we are able to run these summits for free. So thanks to Acer, we would really highly recommend their devices. So we are users, we love Chromebooks. So really, if you are thinking about any device, about any Chromebook, so Acer, go for that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Veronica.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to take Veronica out the stream now, just run through a few bits before we get started today. So for any of you that don't know who I am, my name is Ben Moore and I'm a ICT teacher at secondary level. And I know a few people in the comments are going to grill me if I don't say this, but I'm the youngest certified trainer in the world. So I'm looking forward to doing this session with you all today and sharing some of the knowledge about how I use Google tools in my assessment, in my lessons. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you this slide here. So obviously this is a fantastic summit we're doing today. Lots and lots of good content, lots of new knowledge going to be coming from myself, Katie and Wendy. So please feel free to share this on social media using the hashtags you see on the screen in front of you, and the team will try and respond to those, and hopefully it gets the word out there about some more of these summits coming up in the future. So please feel free to use hashtag Google PD and hashtag apps events, any posts you put on social media anywhere. So today we've got a few of us presenting today. So I'm just going to bring in Katie so she can introduce herself in a moment. But you've also got Wendy coming on today as well. So I'm going to bring in Katie to the stream now. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Ben. How are you today?
How are you, all right?
Good, good.
Good. Do you just want to introduce yourself to everybody for those that don't know you?
Absolutely. So my name is Katie Steen, and I am a Google certified trainer and coach based in sunny, beautiful Barcelona, a lovely place to be. And I am a former English, middle and high school English teacher turned technology coordinator. And now I do virtual training and in-person training here in Barcelona and virtual technology coaching with teachers based around the world. And I'm super excited to be here today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We're going to bring in Wendy in a little while. She can't make it to us just a second, but I've already introduced myself, but I'll just say a little more. So as I said on the screen, I'm an ICT teacher, but I am moving into a new role as a technology support officer. So using Google for Education tools in exciting and new ways. So I'm really excited to show off a little bit about Google Forms today in a moment with you. So I don't want to steal any more of Katie's thunder. I want her to get started and share the excellent stuff she's going to share with you. So Katie, I'm going to pop your screen up for everyone to see, and I'll hide in the background, monitor the comments for you.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, Ben. Okay, so here today we're talking about different types of assessments, and I know Wendy and Ben are going to be looking at Google Forms and quizzes, but I wanted to talk today about digital choice boards in Google Slides. So looking at kind of a different way to do assessment through choice boards and how we can kind of jazz that up with Google Slides. So again, I already introduced myself. I have my socials and how you can connect with me. I would love to connect with you on Twitter and say hi. So I'll put that up again at the end. Okay. And choice boards are a really great tool for doing assessments. So if you don't want to do a quiz or a more traditional assessment, using a choice board as a way to give students some more choices and activities that they choose to do is an awesome idea. And choice boards are traditionally a collection of different activities that you can use for students to choose to show that they've met a learning objective or to do different parts of an assessment. And usually you offer several different choices that maybe have a different presentation style or a different learning style or a different preference that students can choose from so they can kind of mix and match their own assessment. And you may be using them in your own classroom already, either as a printed choice board that you can print out and put at stations or give one to each student. And a really common one is like this one that you see on my screen, the tic-tac-toe model, where you have a 3x3 grid and students can kind of make a tic-tac-toe by choosing different options in their choice board. So these are not a new thing. We've been using these in our classrooms for a long time, but transforming them into something digital really adds an extra layer of interactivity and organization for your students. Okay, so even just creating a choice board in digital form using something like Google Docs or any kind of hyperdoc can really bump up the excitement with these tools. So I'm going to show you quickly a choice board that I set up for actually a teacher PD just using Google Forms. So a really simple one, which is a Google form that then each teacher would make a copy of. And you can see that I put in information on 4 different tools for teachers to pick and choose what they want to learn about and to kind of lead their own learning. So with a hyperdoc or a Google Doc using links, I can really bring in videos or tutorials to send teachers to go and explore different things. I can give them a challenge here and a place to reflect. So I directed teachers to go in and pick 1 or 2 to explore on their own, to try some challenges with groups, and to reflect on how they might use that in their own classroom. And so the benefits really of a digital choice board or a hyperdoc choice board is that you can link any resources and activities that you are directing learners to right in the document itself. You can include audio or video support by bringing in tutorials or even recording yourself as a message or reading instructions to help give students a little more closeness with you as a teacher. And you can gather everything in one place. So you can gather all of your resources, all of the different things that you need students to use, even maybe a place to collect assignments for students to turn them in. So bringing them up into a Google Doc, your choice boards, is already bringing in an extra level of utility and usefulness and organization. So that's a great thing to explore as well. But today we're going to talk about slides and how you can also create a choice board in slides and bring in some more interactivity and kind of a fun twist on doing it in a traditional way. So I'm going to show you a sample choice board that I have in Google Slides. And again, former English teacher here, so novel analysis is what I did this choice board on. So this is a board to assess some different elements of stories. Okay? So on my first slide, we're in present mode, so we'll see this the way a student would. And my first slide is my title and instructions for how to use this choice board. So we're going to make sure that you're in present mode to make it work. We'll start by clicking the Start button. And then we'll click on a box to see more instructions for an activity and click the circle on each slide to return back to the choice board. And those things will make sense in just a minute. So we'll click Start to begin. And on slide 2, this is your actual choice board. So this is the the visual version of what you would see in a Google Doc or on a printed sheet. These are all the choices that students have to choose from. And in this case, I color-coded different options, and I asked my students to choose one activity from each color. So I have several different ways that I can utilize this. I can color code things by maybe different levels, by different parts of the assessment that are mandatory, different learning styles if I want students to get out of their normal comfort zone, or pick the things that are their strengths. And that is my instructions for students to go through. When they choose one, we're going to click on the box. So our first choice activity is to do an interview with a character. And I'm going to click on that one. And it's going to bring me to a new slide that has all the extra information. So I have more instructions. I have a link to a Flipgrid that I already set up. So right within the choice board, I can send students to the Flipgrid video that I want them to create and to turn in right here. So it's all linked directly inside. Okay, with some more information, and I could link rubrics, I could link examples, I could link all kinds of things in here for them. When they're ready to go back and check out another assignment, or if they want to explore different ones, they can click back to choices. And that's going to bring us back to our choice board where we can look in and see all the different options that they want. So if we go to another choice, for example, defend their choices and analytical assignment, if I click on this one, we see we have a new slide with different instructions specifically for this activity. Okay. I also have a submit work button down here, which links to an assignment on Google Classroom. So if I want all my students to submit directly to maybe an assignment on Google Classroom, I can include that as a link right in the choice board, which is super handy as well, and kind of bringing everything together. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my choices, and you can see you could go through all of these different options, and that's the basics of how your interactive choice board is going to work. So in our very short time together today, we are going to make one. We're going to make a choice board together. So if you are watching along and you want to open up a new slides presentation and make one with me, we're going to just very simply go through the basics of how to create this. And the skills we'll be using is creating shapes with text, adding links to objects on a slide, and then the real power behind how these work is to link to other slides within a presentation to create the choice board organization that makes it work. And a couple bonus tips today, a tip for sharing with students, so how to share the presentation easily with students so that it works for them. And then we'll also look at some cool choice board templates that you can use to make some really fun choice board activities easily ready to go that you can just modify. All right, so the first thing we need to do is to open up a blank presentation. So I have one ready to go. And because we have a short time today, I'm going to keep the design super simple. And when you are making them yourself, you can spend all the time you want making it beautiful and perfect for your students, or use a template that are already elaborate and great to go. So I'm going to exit out of this themes tab. Okay. And I'm going to name this presentation a choice board template. And I'm going to set this up as like a shell that I could use to then copy and fill in with more information later. So you might want to do the same. And on my first slide, I'm going to use slide number 1 as the title. So I'm going to make this my digital choice board. And I would put instructions here for how to run the board. So once you have made it, putting some instructions just to remind students how to use it, how to navigate between it is great. So we're going to go up here to our plus sign to create a new slide, and I'm going to choose the drop-down menu and pick a blank slide for slide 2. So we'll start with a blank slide for slide 2 to actually create our choice board. So putting on all our different activities. And there are a lot of ways that you can do this. We are going to use shapes today. That's what I'm going to use for this demonstration. You could also just use text, you could use words, or you could even create a table as a way to offer your different choices. But I'm going to use the shapes because I like the way it looks. And I'm going to go up here in our toolbar and choose our shape button. And of course, you can use any shape you want, but I'm going to choose rounded rectangle because that's the one I like the best. So I'm going to make my shape, make my first box, and I have this ready to go. We can change our color or do whatever it is that you want to do for design. Today, I'm going to make 4 boxes. So we'll just do 4 as kind of a demonstration, and you can make as few or as many choices as you want, depending on how much time you want to put into creating all the different activities. So to make sure that I have equal boxes, the easiest way to do that is just to copy and paste. So I'm going to make sure my box is selected. I will copy, or you can use your keyboard shortcuts, okay, to paste another box. And I'm going to go ahead and line it up. Okay, how I want it to look. And now I'm going to click and drag to select both boxes together, and I'm going to copy and paste that again. Use my arrows to line it up and spread it out. And now I have my perfect little grid of boxes. And when you use a shape in Google Slides, there's a text box already built into it, which is very handy. So for today's demo, I'm just going to make this choice 1, and I'm going to type that in and make it choice 2, 3, and 4. And that way I can create a nice template that I can use later by making a copy and fill that in with content for whatever I want to use it for. So let's choice 3 and choice 4. Okay. Now that we have all of our choices, all of our activity titles is what you would put in here if you were making one for a content area. I'm going to create 4 new slides, and those are enough slides for each of the activity choices that I have. So on this case, I'm going to use just a basic title and body slide, and I'm going to make 4 of those. So we'll put in 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the next thing that I want to do to make it easier for myself later is to, on each title slide, name it with an activity. So if you had actual activity names, like I did in my novel analysis, I would name each slide the same activity. Because in this one, we're making kind of a template. I have choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, and choice 4. So those are the names I'm going to put on the titles of my slides. So I'm going to add those together. On choice 1, my next slide, choice 2, choice 3, and choice 4. Okay, so these are the slides where you would put in all of your instructions, so all of your activities, any links that you want to add, places to submit assignments. Everything extra would go here in the body on these slides. So that's something that you can go back and add later. And the real power, though, is how we put it all together and actually make it work as a choice board that navigates easily for students. So we'll go back to slide 2, which is where our choice board is, and we're going to use hyperlinks to make this work the way we want it to. So we'll choose the box. So I'm going to choose the box by clicking it and making sure it's selected with the blue boxes. And I'm going to go up here to insert a link. So I'm going to click insert a link. And when we're inserting a link, we have 2 choices. We can paste in a URL for any kind of website, so linking to an external resource or YouTube video. We can paste our link here. Or we can add links to different slides in the presentation to make our buttons navigate through the presentation in a certain way. So I'm going to go down to slides in this presentation and click that arrow to get my menu of all my slides. And if you scroll down, we can see here the different slides that we have, which is why it's easier to put the title of each activity on your slide, because it'll help you stay organized when you're linking these up. So we'll choose slide 3 for choice 1. And we can see here that now when this button is clicked, it's going to take us to slide 3. So we'll repeat this process by clicking on the button for choice 2. We're going to insert link, slides in this presentation, choice 2. Do the same thing for this one. And this sometimes happens where depending on your screen resolution and how big everything is, it can be hiding this bottom. So you can just move the button up. I'm sure Ben or Wendy or James might have another trick for that on how to fix that for you. But I'm going to insert the link here to choice 3. And I'll just move my button back in line. Okay, there we go. So we have all of our buttons ready to go, linked to their corresponding activity slides. And let's go ahead and test this. So the way that it works and navigates through, we need to be in slideshow mode. So let's go ahead and test that in slideshow mode. And we can see we've got our choice board here. And when we click on choice 1, it's going to take us to our choice 1 slide that we would fill up with all of our activities and everything that you want to add. Now, one thing that is missing is a way to get back to the choice board. So we're kind of stuck here, and students can use the arrows to navigate through, or use their keyboard to navigate through the slides, but that kind of defeats the purpose of our smooth transition and our organized activity here. So we're going to exit this, and we're going to add one more button that's mandatory, pretty mandatory to your boards. And that is the back button, or a way to navigate back to your choice boards. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten this title a little bit and add one more button. So I'm going to go back up to shapes. And this time I'm going to choose a circle. And I'll make a little circle here. I'm going to add in my text back to choices. And resize my font down. Okay. And I'm going to do the same process. So I will go ahead and select that button, and I'm going to link it to, in this case, slide 2, because that's where our choice board is. So we'll link that to slide 2. And in this case, we can go ahead and just copy and paste this button to all of our other slides. So you could create this button first before you duplicate, slides in the presentation, but this is a very simple way to do it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this button. And I'm going to go to each of my other activity slides, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste it. It puts it in the right spot. And since we want to go back to the choice board for everyone, this is an easy way to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it and see that everything's working here. Let's go into slideshow mode. Okay, click on choice 1. We get to choice 1, back to our choices, and we can jump around and navigate back through each of our choices easily and smoothly. And students can kind of focus in on one activity at a time. You have a lot more room to add in content without getting overwhelmed or getting lost amid all of the choices. They can click and choose, and then go back and focus on everything that they need. So again, design-wise, this is super simple. But this is really an easy, quick way to make something really interactive and fun for your students. And the mechanics behind it, the skills in Google Slides, are very, very simple. So as I said, we use shapes today, but you could also, instead of making an actual shape, you can link to different slides just using text. So you don't even have to get as fancy as with shapes. You could do the same thing. using either a URL or use slides in here to make that work. So a really simple way to get kind of a fun twist on a digital choice board and doing something a little different with slides. Okay, so the bonus tips that I wanted to share with you are how to share this with your students really easily. So you can share this presentation with your students just like anything that you normally would do. But the navigation works in slideshow mode. So that's the easiest, smoothest way for it to work. And so what often happens, you can send students a link, and with the instructions, you can remind them to put it in slideshow mode, but inevitably they'll exit out, maybe get confused and need a little bit of help. Okay, so if you paste a link to this in Google Classroom or on a Google site, or in an email, or however you share assignments with your students, you can use this nifty little trick. And if we go up to the URL up here, we're going to look for the word edit. Okay. And I'm going to highlight the word edit, and I'm going to just replace it with the word present. So I will delete edit and I will write in present. And if I hit enter, this now automatically puts it in presenter mode. Okay. So if I copy this link, I'll show you what it looks like in an incognito window, which is also another great tip to test things out for your students to make sure that they can see them. And in fact, I think that's going to tell me that I haven't shared this with my students. So we'll actually see. We might get 2 tips out of here. Okay, so testing it in an incognito window will show you whether your sharing settings are correct and whether your students will have access to the document that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to edit mode. I'm going to share this with anyone with the link, or if you want to set it up just with students in your domain. So right now it's private to me. We're running a little slowly with all of my heavy tabs open. Okay, I'm going to change this to anyone with the link can view. So that's really important, making sure that your students are viewers, not editors in this particular file. So anyone on the, so I have anyone on the internet can view. You can change that to students in your domain or whatever you want. So now let's try that again. Okay, so we're going to copy the link. We're going to open it in an incognito window to test what it will look like to someone without my permissions. And here we go. So now I can see it's viewable to students and it is stuck in presenter mode. So if you kind of hover down here on the 3 little dots, you can get into edit mode. So this doesn't restrict students from getting into edit mode, but they won't do it accidentally. So it makes it a lot easier for them to access the choice board in the way you intended it. And so it will function easier for them. So so that is a quick tip for you on how to present that with your students. So going up to the URL and typing edit or present will change the way that you access it. Okay, the last tip in my last couple of minutes here with you is choice board templates. So if you are not yet using Slides Mania, if you haven't heard of this or are using it, you really should. Slides Mania has a ton of really incredible templates for PowerPoint and Google Slides. So all kinds of things that are presentations, but as it says, much more than presentations. And so up here in the search bar, we're going to look for choice boards. And you will find a lot of different options of very elaborate boards, more than I would make on my own generally, maybe more than you would make on your own generally, but a lot of different learning menus, choice boards, and all kinds of different things that you can do with students. So you can take a look at those and see some different templates. So I'm going to show you one that I did with this one, which is a challenge board. So I got this from here. So I got a board from here, this template from here that I was able to download. Okay. You can download either in PowerPoint or you can open it in Google Slides. You can preview what they look like. And this one uses master slides in Google Slides. So it has a video. It's a little more complicated if you want to do some extra things with it. So it gives you a video to show you how to do that. So here, yeah, completely free. They are awesome and incredible and so helpful and just an amazing resource. So I created this parrot deck board from slidesmania.com. So all I had to do was to fill in my content. So they have a nice little button board here. If I click on one, it looks like a pop-up window pops up, but it really just uses the same techniques that we looked at earlier today of linking slides together. And you can hit this little exit button, okay, which is just a linked icon or image that pops you back here to the board. So you can link through those and click out. Okay, so super, super, super awesome. They're easy to use that you can go ahead and take with you, download, and get ready to use them right away. So that is pretty much it. So you can either get super creative on yourself or check out Slides Mania's templates for you to use and to customize those and to learn a little bit more about how slides function together. So I hope that you can take this and get going with choice boards, digital choice boards using slides or even docs in your classroom right away. And of course, if you want to tell me how you're using them, I would love to hear from you on Twitter. Share what you're doing and how you're using these awesome tools.
Katie, thank you so much for going through that. I've taken a few things from that personally as well, and I think it was a great tip showing how you can change that URL. I think that's often something that gets missed in these sort of demonstrations. So it's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with all of us today.
Sure. I think those are always the little tips that just get thrown in. Sometimes those are the things that everyone talks about forever.
That's it. That's exactly right. You know, these are the things that make all the difference to educators, but not everybody shares them. So thank you for doing that.
Sure, absolutely.
Perfect. Right. So we're going to say bye to Katie for now. Hopefully she'll be still see us back at the end. We're going to take a look now at my presentation for today, which is then looking at using Google Forms in your assessments, turn it into a breakout room. So before I do that, I'd just like to publicly say thank you to ASA for supporting and sponsoring this summit today. So feel free to register using the link in front of us on your screen now in case you want to win any free seats for any future apps, events, boot camps or summits. It puts you in a good chance to do so. So please make sure to take advantage of this opportunity. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at Google Forms, as I mentioned before, to turn that into a breakout room, something to lighten up and try and make fun of assessments. So I'm going to go through an example I've done with my students during lockdown. I'm going to show you show you how I created that and obviously where I started from as well. So just before I do, you already know who I am, so I'm not going to go through that slide. But so we're going to try and focus today on engaging Google Forms that allow us to challenge students or do summative, formative assessments, but in a way that doesn't feel like an assessment. So my students have loved this end of term assessments or even just checking in like knowledge top ups and stuff like that. You know, my students have really loved doing this. So I'm going to take you through one I did for when I was teaching music. I don't teach music anymore, but when I was teaching music, we did one based on that. So I'm going to come out of the presentation. I like doing things in live time. I like showing you how things look. So I want to get straight in and show you what this looks like for the students to fill in first of all. So as you can see on the screen, we've done a virtual escape room. First things first, you need to have a story, a baseline to go on, something that makes it relevant to your students. So this could be different for all of you. I'm going to just go through the one I use as an example. So when I was teaching music, giving it that bit of context, again, engages your students, allows them to feel like they're part of the process as well. So I've put here, your music department, Mr. Moore, Mrs. Dunn, Mr. Hawkins, and Mr. Taylor are so impressed with the way you've adapted to the online learning environment. In the last 2 weeks, they've decided to bake the class a delicious bunch of double chocolate chip cookies. But hold on, the team has been called to speak to Mr. Lee, who is our head teacher. Leaving the cookies baking in the school kitchen, and you've been asked to save those cookies. However, you discover the kitchen's locked. Can you break into the room before the cookies are burnt? Solve the clues to open the locks and rescue the cookies before time runs out. So it doesn't need to be a lot. And as I say, this will be different for everybody, but giving it that bit of context allows students to feel they're part of this process and they've got a task to achieve. And what's nice about it is it's done in a fun or a gamifying way that allows students to feel like it's not an assessment, which is also really, really beneficial. So I'm just going to fill in my details here to go through because I use this for lots of different classes. So I did ask them to put in their email addresses and also their names just so I can look at the results afterwards. Now, the first thing I did was a simple true and false question. Okay, so we have I think there's 5 questions on here. They've got to tell me whether it's true or false and then verify at the bottom the order in which those true and falses are. So this could be relevant to your subject area in any means. I've just used some related to music. So I've put, is a treble clef played at the right hand on the piano, which it is. So I'm going to mark that one as true. Is a chord made of more than one note played at the same time? Yes, that's true as well. So I'm going to tick the true box. I've then given an image in here just for reference for this this next question, which is asking, is the white note to the left of the 2 black notes here? Is this key F? Or no, it's actually D for delta. So we're going to put that as false. Is tempo the volume of a song? No, tempo is a speed. And is the structure the different parts of a song? True. So all I've done there is 5 quite simple true and false questions, which students are just having to mark. Now, at the end of this, it's asking what is the code. So at the top, I'll give a little bit of explanations to show you how I've labeled this, and I'll show you how this is set up on the back end, how you can set this up in a moment. But this is something called response validation. So response validation is just a way of checking you've got it right. So what I've done here, so if I look back up, so I've got true, true, false, false, and true. So my answer is going to be true, true, false, false, true. And all I'm going to do is hit next at the bottom here. Now, you've got into this, you've unlocked the lock, and it's taking you to the next part of the code here. So the next part of the escape room. So it says unlock the lift. So the stairs are currently blocked due to the site team doing some painting, which the students know that we do. Therefore, you're unable to use them. The only way down is to use the lift. The lift needs to be powered on. You need to enter the code to power on this lift, and this is a 5-digit code. So what I did here was quite simply, I linked into some YouTube songs, which I've just linked in here, or I think these ones actually I purchased for this example, which I've just stored in Google Drive and put a bit.ly link in for. So what I did here, because it's relating to music, I put this link here, and when they click on this link, I don't think it's going to show us on here because I'm not sure if it's going to show you the sound in the best way. But each one of these has a song attached to it that includes a number, a key number you need to listen for in each of those songs. They have to listen to 5 30-second clips roughly to then find out what the 5-digit code is. Now, because I can't play all these to you right now, because I say I don't know if it's going to come through in the right way, I'm just going to put the digit, the answer in the bottom here. So I know that the answer to this one was 78523. But I just picked some songs that had numbers in and then put those as links in here. I think I purchased the songs for 79p or something similar at the time. And just click next. Now it's worth bearing in mind, if you didn't get the answer right on the bottom section, where it's showing you the number, or in the first case whether you got the true, true, false, false, true in the right order. If that wasn't there, or you didn't get that quite right, the point of response validation is to stop that going through if it's not, if you haven't got it right. So it's almost you keep trying till you get it right. So once they've unlocked once they've powered on the lift and gone down the lift, they're now trying to get into the restaurant. So the door before the kitchen. It says the lift doors open and you follow the smell of chocolatey goodness. As you reach the restaurant doors, you discover they're blocked by some dinner ladies. They look at you and say, if you wish to pass these doors, you'll need to say the password out loud. I've left a clue below. These notes will spell out the password. Let's see if you're clever enough to figure it out. So they're just going to have to go through and have a look at these musical notes and see if they can identify what the notes are. Now, again, this is a I've just put a picture on a question here or a material link in Google Forms, and all they're having to do is basically work out what each and every letter is on this note scale. Now, for those keen music people out there, you would recognise some of these. So we've got at the top we have B, then we have A, then we have D, G, and E, which spells badge. We're all a fan of these, all the badges over lockdown. I know I certainly was. If you've been following me on Twitter, you would have seen that I've been really sort of hungry for badges, so I had to get that in there as well. And then for the last question here, last page of the escape room, you've unlocked the restaurant, you've gone past the dinner ladies, you then need to unlock the kitchen to get to the cookies. So it says you hear the kitchen radio blasting an absolute tune. I have to apologise. I have to do that to fit in with the kids. Okay, so we put blast an absolute tune from beyond the door. You can't help but dance. Answer the following questions correctly to unlock the door. So again, in the same way as I showed you to power on the lift, I put another song in here that I purchased and just uploaded to Google Drive. And this song in particular was Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. It was a big song for the kids during lockdown, so I tried to get that in there to engage them and try and include them in the process as well. And again, it was just a case of answering some questions going down. So which famous musician wrote this song? Which instrument do you hear first? Which I believe was the synthesizer. I hope I'm going to get this right. What comes first, male vocals or electronic drum kits? So all these are just multiple choice questions that you're selecting the right answer from when you set it up. You'll see that side in just a moment. Then we've got what voice type is the singer. So in this example was a tenor male voice, and the time signature. So these are all subject related questions. You can replace these with whatever subject you teach or that you want to create an escape room for. And then this bottom one, similar to the other ones we did a moment ago, we looked at putting response validation in there. This one, we're just picking the correct answer. So they're having to go through and make sure they've got, basically all the answers you've selected here, you've got in the right answer down here as well. So I need to make sure I find the one that says The Weeknd. And then there we go. That's the right one to have there. So when I click next, this is the last page in the escape room for the students to answer, and then they'll get a well done message. So it says here, as you say the last answer out loud, you hear the clunk and hiss as the door unlocks, swinging open to reveal a perfectly baked batch of cookies. As the smell hits your nostrils, your stomach lets out a loud grumble. Congratulations on reaching the cookies. You've earned them with all your hard work. So, congratulating them afterwards, making sure we've got a personalised message in there to target students is really good. And what we did as a little thing they can have afterwards, we created a little badge in Google Drawings that we just attached here, and they could download and they could share with their friends, family, just to sort of show off a little bit and to show they've done it. So this is what the students see. This is how they would have answered it, and we got some really good feedback from this from students and parents. Saying it was really engaging and really beneficial to them, and it gave the family a bit of fun as well. So I've done a few of these for students now, and I tend to find, especially in terms of assessment, they don't realise it's an assessment, which makes your life a lot easier as a teacher. Being that I'm a secondary school teacher, my students don't like assessments. I think that's fair to say, but putting it in this way makes it more engaging for them. So I'm now going to show you the back end, how I actually created this. So I've just created a new form. So what I'm going to do, I might do this in live time with you. So Let's open a new tab, and I'll give you a hint here, or a top tip for today. So you can type in the top URL up here. You can type in forms.new, click enter, and what that will do is it will create you a blank Google form in your Google Drive for you. So straight away, without having to open Google Drive, you can use that neat little shortcut to allow you to open a brand new form. So I'm going to take the content from my example and just put it into this new one just to show you. But I want to run through just a few things in here first. So with Google Forms, at the time I made this, I asked for people's email addresses. I didn't realize at the time that you could turn on form collecting for email addresses. So this bit here probably acts a bit redundant now because you can get the form to automatically accept that for you. And the way you do that is just click on the settings tab here and just make sure you've got, click on responses here and then collect email addresses. So you can turn that on, and that reduces the need for you to have this question asking for their email address. So that was, I created this before I knew that was there. So just to show you why that's there. I've put in to add your names. So all I did was just pop in a new question here and just put in here your name. And what should happen is it automatically defaults, part of the Google Forms AI just automatically puts that into a short text answer. So that does it for you automatically. I made sure that was required just by ticking the box. The students couldn't move on without giving me their name. So I knew whose was whose. So that was, that's, you know, the first page, very, very basic, that one. So what I did after this, I made a new section. In essence, let's look at it as a new page. Okay, so on your little toolbar here on the side, you've got add section just here. So if you click add section, you'll almost get like a page break, and it will say section 2 here, and you can then just put you know, your next part. I labeled it as true and false. You might want to use my example. You might want to use some other ones I've used. It might just be listen to the songs or multiple choice questions. It could, you know, you can label it as whatever you want to. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, the context is really important, trying to give it something to relate back to the students. So I didn't show this bit at the top, but just by all I did there was I just typed it out in here. What I found useful was to plan this in a Google Doc first, you know, so I could share with the team and collaborate with the team on this. And then we sort of, you know, once we had a solid idea, we then put it straight into the form. So if you want to do that, feel free. If you want to just do it in the form and just go with it here, absolutely fine as well. It doesn't make any difference. Now, all these questions down here were the true and false questions. So I'm just going to add a new question and show you how I did that. So I'm going to click add question here. I'm just going to copy this content just because I'm conscious of time. And then I could just type in for option 1 here, I could just replace this with true. And then it says suggestions false. So again, Google's AI working in the background here. If you click false there, it will just drop in another answer here. So you don't have to type that in as well. So it's all about working smarter. So quite simply, I just made sure it said required here as well. And obviously we need to make sure they're going to put the right answers in. So we need to do this response validation at this point. So if I just show you on the bottom of each question, you'll have the three dots, or the traffic light menu, I call it, or the meatball menu, I've heard other people call it. So if you click onto here, you'll see you have description and section based on answer. Oh, apologies. No, I need to show you the response validation at the bottom, not here. Apologies, I'll take that back. But once you've got, say, I've put 5 questions on this one, and I've just put an image on here as well. All I did was just popped in, if I put a new question in here, I clicked on the image and just added one in. That's how I got that image to appear. So I just found one on Google, downloaded it, and just clicked on the image to upload it. So with this bottom bit, this is the bit I was talking about with the response validation. So what I did was I put in a short answer to text. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'll just copy this text here just to show you. So it should automatically fill out the short answer text if you're asking a question, but if it doesn't, you can just click on this drop down and select short answer here. So what I did was I clicked on the three dots of the traffic light menu and then clicked on response validation. Now, when you click on response validation, you'll get this pop up down here, There's a few drop downs you can select from. I personally used regular expression and made sure it matched exactly what I'm about to type in. That's the way I did it, but you can have it a multitude of different ways. But I feel this is the way I found that works the best and that has the least errors crop up. So I'll put regular expression matches exactly what my answer was. So true, true, false, false, true. And if they didn't get it right, we can give some error feedback as well. So I put, it's not quite right, please try again. So it's giving students prompts to say, look, you're not quite there yet. Go back and have a look again and see if we can get it right this time. Okay, so it's just prompts them. It's not saying, you've got it wrong, that's it. It's saying, let's try this again. Okay, so that's what I did for the response validation in this section. Again, I then created another section here for the lift area we were talking about. Again, giving some more context here, looking at saying you need to get 5 digits, and this is at the point where I then got all the songs. So I just found this image again on Google and put that inside the question by clicking on a little picture icon. Now, with this here, for the songs, what I did was I put these aside. I downloaded these, or I put them into my Google Drive. And used a bit.ly link to just link them together. And all I did was I put it as a multiple choice question, but I didn't leave it as required because I'm not asking them to mark it as done, because it's just there as I suppose as a placeholder, just to be there, just to give them a link to something they need to get onto. So I didn't say I just left that as multiple choice, made sure it wasn't required, so it didn't then show they hadn't filled things in or bits were missing as they as the students went to fill it in. So again, at the bottom here, we use exactly the same response validation again by clicking on your traffic light menu, making sure you've got regular expression, matches, and then the answer, and then give them again an error message if they didn't quite get it right. I think I've missed an apostrophe there as well, but we won't talk about that. We've moved on to a further section here, so you can see it's quite repetitive. Once you've got your idea there, it's just a case of filling out the content blocks in an order that makes sense to you. Again, got some more content here, and this one is find the words. This is what I was talking about with the musical notes. So in our context, it was the word badge, but you could use this for any context. You could have pictures for, for your biology lessons or your food tech lessons in terms of possibly like ingredients in the order they need to be put in, for example. There's lots of different applications to this. So I know we're looking particularly at music here, but just try using these styles I've given you here. So find the word. You've got find the 5-digit code. So that could be within pictures. It doesn't have to be within sound. Try and use these and apply them to your subject area. So we found this really useful for our students. Again, down the bottom, we've got another response validation in exactly the same way as we've looked at before. And then we've got the last one where I've just looked at lots of multiple choice questions. And the response validation here is different. So I'm going to show you the one at the bottom of this particular page. But again, we've just linked a song as a multiple choice question, making sure that's not required. So it doesn't mark them as wrong or they haven't filled in the form completely. That's important to do that. And then there's a series of questions. So which famous musician wrote this? And again, just multiple choice answers. I gave some random ones in there. Typically, I give in a throwaway comment. They know it's definitely not going to be Mozart, for example. I try to give at least one or two sort of throwaways to sort of give them a better chance. And I think it's important to mention at this point, this was directed at Key Stage 3 students, this particular one. So that is sort of age ranging from 11 to 13 or 14 in the UK. So, however that translates to your key stage levels, wherever you're watching from, just worth bearing that in mind. Again, some more multiple choice here, but the bottom one is what I wanted to really talk to you about. So with this particular one, we had 5 multiple choice questions, and what I did was just a little bit of to confuse the students a little bit, maybe a little bit of a trick question, which is a bit mean of me, but I've given every possible combination of those 5 questions here for them to look at and scan through. So it almost makes them want to double check what they've put before they click that submit button. So it's maybe a little bit of a mind game as such, but just to get them to double check what they've put in above and making sure they've got exactly what, made sure it's definitely right before they select it. So all I did was put lots of different answers in here. It's a multiple choice question. I put lots of different answers in there, every combination. And what I did, you'll see there's a different section on the side here. So I'm going to show you how to access that. So if you click on the 3 dots, and you'll find it says go to section based on answer. So this is an advanced part of Google Forms that I really like, because what it allows me to do is select the right answer, which I've got here. If they select that answer and click next, they'll move to the last section where they get the cookies and they get their badge. However, if they don't click this one, any other answer they put in there, what it will do is it'll ask them to go back to the beginning of page 5. So they'll have to go back through that same page again until they get the answer correct. Now let me show you what that looks like in real time. If I just go back on this example I showed you a moment ago, how the students would see it. So I've selected the right answer, which has allowed me to go through to the cookies page where you get your badge at the bottom. However, if a student didn't click on that exact answer, so we're going to pick another one, any other one on here, it doesn't matter, and click next, what it will do is it will take you back to the top of this page because you haven't got the answer right. So it's going to ask you to go back and double check your answers. So that is something called section-based answers. And you can see here, all I did was I just made sure on this answer, you can move on to the next page. Any other answer goes straight back to the top of that page that you've just been working on. So again, that's just about directing students to have another go, to consider what they've put in. Have they, are you definitely sure that's the right answer? And if they do, they then get to this bottom part here, which was the congratulations part, where you got your Google, where you got the badge for the task you've just completed. So with this bit here, I think I'll just show you this one. I think I clicked add question. I think all I did was upload a photo from my computer, I think. But you can also search from Google Images here, and it's worth just pointing this out. So let me just make another one to show you. So I'm going to put in here delicious cookies, just to show you how I made it. Click on the picture here. So you have the option to upload from your own computer, so from your downloads, or you could even look at Google image search over here, which I think this is a very underrated tool and something that I don't feel everyone knows about. When you click on the Google image search here and search for something like cookies or anything you want, okay, these are all copyright-free images, so you have no worries or concerns with copyright issues or privacy issues. These are all images that can be used by yourselves for any of your Google work. So you can pick any that you like or take your fancy. Just click insert, and what it will do is it will appear just like I had at the top up here a moment ago. So that really, in a nutshell, is looking at how to use escape rooms in Google Forms. There is lots of fantastic examples out there. My colleague Darren White, who some of you may recognise, he's got some fantastic examples of this, and there's many others out there that are fantastic as well. But as I say, I think this is a really great way of doing your assessments to students, because they don't see this as an assessment. They see it as something fun. They look at it as a game. So you're gamifying the classroom as well, which is another fantastic skill to be able to do. And something that I have really enjoyed creating. I'm quite a creative person. It's really sparked my creativity in the digital world as well. So it was a lot of fun to make and a lot of fun to see students' reactions from this as well. So I'm really excited to see how you apply this and how you can use this for yourselves. And I'd love to connect with you on Twitter, or for you to share your examples with me if you go away and make some. That'd be fantastic to see those. So feel free to tag me in those on Twitter at Training with BM. That's just on below my face here. So it'd be great to see some of those if you do make them connect with you nonetheless, otherwise as well. So that takes me near enough spot on time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over now to the fantastic Wendy. I'm just going to bring her in to introduce herself and put her screen on so you can see it. Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Hi, Ben. Thank you for having me today. Loved your session. Really enjoy making those myself as well. And I'm really good because the sun's been shining today.
Makes all the difference. Day, isn't it?
It does make a lot of difference, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Right. So I'll hand over to you. I'll monitor the chat and comments, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to deliver today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so my name's Wendy Pesquet, and I'm a freelance EdTech trainer. I'm a certified trainer, coach, and innovator with Google, and I'm also an ISTE certified educator and trainer. So the session I'm going to do today with you is Quizlet. So just to sort of manage your expectations, what we're going to look at is the free account. We're not going to look at the premium account today, although I might mention it a couple of times. We're going to look at creating and exploring the learning sets within Quizlet, and we're going to look at repurposing a learning set. And then if people want at the end, if there's time, we'll look at differentiating those learning set parts into Classroom. So that's really what we're going to look at today. And if you've not looked at Quizlet before, you'll have a chance to do that now. And if you're on there on the call with me now, you can actually jump in and just go to quizlet.com and sign in with your Google account or any other account like Microsoft, whichever you're using today. Okay, so I'll just give you a second to do that if you want to follow along with me. If not, you can just watch the demo, but I'll just give you time to go to quizlet.com and just sign in. Once you've signed in, this is the free account. And as I've said already, there is a premium account. It's about £32 for the year, but I'm not going to touch on those. I'm not going to show any of those things today. I'm just going to show you the parts that are free to use, but we will touch them just in case you see bits and think and start asking questions about them. I'm just going to just tell you a little bit about them if that comes up in questions, but not planning to sort of spend any time on those today. What I love about Quizlet is the speed that you can do something with. Now, when we're looking at assessments, and when I'm coaching teachers in particular, they're always looking for time. They want time back. They want to be able to do things that they've done before. They want to create matching sets, which a lot of teachers use in the classroom as paper-based activities. And they're working in limited rooms that don't really have tech in there. So we're looking at using students' mobile devices, and Quizlet sort of helps with all of those things. It saves you time. It works really well on students' mobile devices, and it also allows you to have that backup of a paper-based matching exercise that it creates in the background for you. And I just want to show you how quick and easy you can create a complete learning set. Now, I'm going to choose something really simple today, and I'm just going to look at the Romans. So I'm just going to look at sort of primary school activity, but please don't think that Quizlet is only useful for primary school, because once I show you some of the other things that it can create, you'll see that you can use it for all age groups and well into adult learning as well. So first of all, I'm just going to click on Create. And I'm going to just create a study set. Now, if I want, I can put my study sets into folders so I can organize it. If I want to create a class, that's in the paid version, okay? But a study set is just where we create our set of words that we want to work on. And like anything else, you just have to give it a name. So I'm just going to call it Romans, and I can put a subtitle in if I want, or a description, but I'm going to keep it really simple. And then you can see that I can change the visibility. So I can make it visible to everyone, which it is at the moment. And you'll notice that I can change the visibility to certain classes if I've got that set up, or people with passwords. Or if I just want to make it just for me for now, I can. But I'm okay with it being for everybody. But I've left it editable by just me, just for the moment. But I could collaborate on this if I wanted to. Now, I'm going to skip past the annotated diagram because that's one of the paid features, but I'm going to go straight to the bit that we can do. And I hope you'll see at the end of this how quick it is to do, and also that you can do quite a lot with the free version. So the way it works in Quizlet is it works on keywords. So you're creating quizzes, but the key thing to remember here is don't try to write questions. That's not how it works. You don't want to say who were the Romans. That's a question. You might just want to put the word Roman as a keyword. So I'm just going to put 6 keywords in, and I'll come back to tell you why I'm doing 6 in a moment. But I'm going to put my first one in as chariot. And I'm going to make sure I choose my language and make sure it's got English. And this is a bit I love. All I've done is type the word chariot. I'm going to click in definition now. And what you'll see is I can enter my own definition. But if I'm a teacher pushed for time, I can read ones that have already been used before. And I think that one looks perfectly acceptable. A wheeled horse-drawn cart used in battle. Absolutely fine for what I need. So I'm just going to go through and add my other keywords, making sure that I choose them, add a definition. You'll see it comes straight up. A Roman athlete, I'm going to put that in. So I'm just going to spend like about a minute putting those in. Sorry, amphitheatre. Making sure I spell it right. An oval-shaped arena. Colosseum. Making sure I've got a definition in there. Oh, that's because I haven't spelled it right. If you don't spell it right, it won't give you the definition, will it? And I can put an old amphitheatre, or I put the capacity and when it was built. Last couple, mosaic. Enter definition. Art consistent of a design. So you can see how easy that is. So it gives me 5 to start off with, and I'm just going to add a card at the bottom and make that final 6. So I'm just going to add Londinium in as my final word. Click on that one, and ancient Roman name for London. So that's my first thing I've done. I've created 6 words and I've got my definitions in there, and actually I can now just go and use these straight away, but I'm going to make them look a little bit nicer first of all. So first of all, I'm going to start at the top because I'm a little bit fussy here. I want to make sure everything's got capital letters to start off with. So you notice, even though I've picked up somebody else's definition, I can actually go in and change the spellings or add different things on there. So I've got coloured here, so I'm going to put the U in that. So I've got the English spelling and just putting my capital letters in. So I can go through as a good teacher and check that my spelling and grammar are correct in there, and just put all my English spellings in. There we go. First of all, I've got my keywords and I've got my definitions. So what I want to do now is I can make these look a little bit more interesting by adding some images. I just simply have to click on image, and you'll see the AI kicks in and it shows me some different pictures, or I can upload my own image if I've got the paid version. But I'm quite happy with the free stuff I've got here. I could look for some better ones if I scrolled along, but I'm just going to choose one for each of these now. So very quickly, just clicking on image and adding them to my learning set. So mosaic, I did look at these earlier, so that was one made in mosaics. And then Londinium, I think that might be okay. So I've now got everything I want in here, and I've got my keywords, my definitions, and my images for my 6 cards that I've created. So the last part of that is to create, which is either on the bottom right or the top right. If I click on that, you'll see then that I get told that it's a nice set, and do I want to share it? So I could simply share it in an email to somebody. I could copy the link and I could add that to a website, or tweet it out anywhere if I wanted to. And notice I've got other options here, such as sharing on Google Classroom and Teams and other platforms too. So I don't have to do any of that yet. I can just click on close, and I'm back into my learning set here. This is where you see the speed of what we've created. It might not look that impressive just yet. We've just put in 6 words. That's all I've done. That's all I've typed. But I've now got all of these activities and all of these types of learning activities created from those 6 words that I added. And I think this is what impresses me. So first of all, I've got my flashcards. So if I click on study, what you'll notice is take a look at the URL at the top here. I've got a unique number in those URLs. And at the end of it, it tells me which part of the learning activity it is. So if I click on flashcards, I've got that number with just flashcards, and you'll see what it looks like. You'll notice that it's got ads in it. That's because it's the free version. But if you pay for the upgrade, they come out. And I've got mine on the free one just so you can see it. And this is a simple flashcard that students can look at. And if they want to know what that is, they're guessing, they're thinking, oh, I think that might be called a chariot. They can then click the card, and it's just like having a written flashcard. So simply a revision tool, and they can click through and go through their cards and work out whether they know the words. And what I really like about this as well is if I'm working through a set of flashcards, now I've only created 6, but you see some flashcard sets that have got 100 cards in it. Now it'd be a bit boring to keep going over those ones that you already know, because if you were revising, you'd move those on and you'd revise the ones you know a bit less frequently. So what you can do is if you think there's a particular word or set of words that you need to remember, you can star it. So you can go back and study those separately. So if I go through to the next card, you'll see I can star the next 3 because I think they're the ones that I'm struggling to remember. Okay, so I've now gone all the way through it, and you'll see the progress has shown me I've gone through 6 of 6 of the flashcards. That's the first one. That's your Quizlet flashcard. And what I like about it as well, you can also listen.
Londinium.
And I do find that the voice isn't too bad on this.
Ancient Roman name for London in 45 CE site located.
I've heard a lot worse when you use these artificial voices. I think this one is quite good. If I go into options here at the bottom as well, you can see that I can start over. I can do things like turn the audio off if that's what I want to. And I can also just do things like choose to study only my starred ones. Remember, I starred 3 of them earlier. So as a student's using this for their own revision and an assessment, they can actually go through and star it. And also here, I can decide whether I mix up the terms and definitions. So sometimes the card is shown one way or the other, or I can decide to show just the definition, so I have to remember the term, or just the term, so I have to remember the definition. So I've got some flexibility within each of those things that I want to do as well. So that's the simple one, the very first one. That just shows you what it looks like to use the flashcards. Now, if we go down these study sets, I'm going to dip into each one because really I've shown you how to create them. I want you to see now what they do. So if I click on Learn, you'll notice that the URL changes again at the top. We've now got Learn at the end here. And this one now I can hear it again.
A wheeled horse-drawn card used in battle. A wheeled horse-drawn card used in battle.
And I can choose a word. Now, if I get it wrong, it tells me it's okay because I'm still learning, and I can continue. And it will go on to the next one, and I can just go through. So it's now like a multiple choice, but I've got the option of it showing me. So if I'm just going to click through, I'm just not going to worry too much about getting all of them right. I'm just going to go through a few of them just so you can see what it looks like. There we go. Oh, it's going to keep going. And again, it gives me my progress here. It tells me I'm doing well. I've gone through 6 terms. It tells me what I've studied in it as well. So I've got a good piece of revision evidence there for me. Now, that's the Learn one. You can now go back to Home. If I want to, that will take me back to all my learning sets. And notice there are several down here that I've created before. This is the one that I'm actually working on today. And there are other ones we can do as well. So we've got write. So as that's suggesting, this is where the students have to write the answer. So this time they've got to actually put the answer in. And if they spell it wrong, it will tell them. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of these, but you get the idea. Every point I'm being shown my progress through here. Spelling one I love. And this is where I'm talking about the differentiation. If I know that we're we've got 30 students studying these same words, but I know some students really need to practice their spelling, some need to practice on typing the answers, some need the simpler multiple choice ones. I've got that differentiation built in, and I haven't had to think about that myself as a teacher. It's done it for me. So here I get to listen.
Colosseum.
That's the one that actually sounds the oddest on here, but actually, to be honest, you heard the rest. Can I spell it? Colosseum. The Colosseum. There we go.
Colosseum. COLUSSEUM.
So really
Colosseum.
really clear what the students are doing, and great feedback from that as well. Then we get into test, and test gives you a mixture of them all. So that gives you true and false. It allows you to change what you're doing on there. And the look of this has changed very, very recently. It used to look slightly different to this, and it's looking a little bit cleaner and fresher and updated. But again, if I go into the options, I can decide which question types I want. So if I only want multiple choice or true and false or just written or matching, I can take some of those out. And I can take the images off if that makes it too easy. But you get the idea. I get to be able to make different tests from this as well with the options. Going back again. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I am going to go through all of them, but not fully. I'm just going to show you where they are. And then we get a couple where we start like the game-based assessment here. So we've got match, which I really like. And this lets me start a game, and the sound will probably come on. If it does, I'll turn it off. No, that's leaving me. So notice now the time is running off here. So what we have to do with this one is we have to match the things up. So we're looking for chariot and chariot, Londinium. We're looking for the amphitheatre. We're looking for the Colosseum. We're looking for the gladiator and mosaic. So I'm just going to wait a little while, make that a little bit slower than I need it to be. And the reason I do that as a teacher, when I've used this in my teaching before, I would always print screen this and show my students, well, you know, I did this in 21 seconds, and on my Google Classroom, I would have a link to this, and I say to them, I bet you can't beat me. Well, of course they all did, because they all wanted to beat me. They you know, and I've done it nice and slow, so I've given them that chance to do it. But you can get students to do that. Now, if you've got the paid version, it will give you a leaderboard, and you'll be able to see where all the students come. But I've done it in the free one as well, where I've got students to just print screen and upload in Classroom that shows their score. Or I've done it in Google Forms, where I've got them to put their score in there and upload the picture and created a leaderboard that way. So there are ways around it. Obviously, if you've got the paid version, it's even better because it does it for you. But with a little bit more thought, you can actually go through and add that same type as well. So really nice to get the students working with each other. Now, you've also got gravity, and this isn't one of my favorites, but I'll show it very quickly. This one gets me a little bit stressed, actually. I don't know why, it just does, but let's go. You'll see what it does. Let's start the game and see what happens. I've got to type the answer. So I've got to be able to do that quick enough before that gets to the bottom, and that causes me a little bit of stress, and I'm an adult. So maybe there's some students who would feel that too. I don't know, but I can also press escape, as you saw, and it will give me a prompt. Some people love this game. For me, it's not for me, but you know, this is why it's great to have all the different types of games in there. But you can certainly try that one. You have got some options in that to change the way the questions come, but the option really would make you type the whole definition out, which just wouldn't work. So it's best to leave it on the default. So that's the 7 different study sets that we've created just by typing those 6 words in. But what I want to do now is show you the newer ones, which are the live games. So if you've ever played Kahoot before, it's a bit similar to that. And they've also added a beta version of a new part of this as well. So when I click on live, I'm hoping now that Ben will join me. But if he doesn't, if he's not there, I will do this on my phone and be 2 students as well. But I've got classic Quizlet live and I've got checkpoint. So I will show you both of them. And I'm just going to go into the classic Quizlet live first of all. And notice I can choose to put my students in teams, or they can be individuals. So for this one, I'll select individuals, and you get to choose how the students play as well. So do I want my students to see the definition and choose the word? I prefer that, or you can choose it the opposite way round. I'm going to choose this one. And I'm just going to turn the sound off because otherwise by the end of it we'd be going crazy. So if anyone wants to join, if Ben's there, that's brilliant. He can join that by going to Quizlet Live. So www.quizlet live. And if anyone else is there and wants to join this game as well, just to see what it's like at a student end, please feel free to do that. I'm also going to jump onto it on my phone as well. So Ben's in there. So it might just be you and me, Ben. We don't know until we get in there. Let's just have a look. There we go. So we've now got Ben and Wendy in there. Like I said, if you want to join in, just go to www.quizlet.live. So that's different to going to Quizlet.com. Quizlet.com is where you create them. Quizlet Live is where you play the games. And then what your students will see is a code. So all you need to do to create the game is to get your students in there and get them to put their name in. They can also do it via the QR code as well. So it looks like it's just, oh, we got Erin. Thank you very much for jumping in. And Katie, thank you very much. So just have a little look at what this looks like. This is why I chose a simple set of keywords. So I wasn't trying to make people think too difficultly in this test. So I'm as the teacher now. So the screen you're looking at is the teacher screen, and on your device you'll see the student one. And what it should be telling you at the moment is while you're waiting for the teacher, you could study. So it's showing you the flashcards to look at before you get your assessment. So I'm going to just create the game now, and you'll notice that you're all going to be given another name, so you won't be shown as your real names on the scoreboards. You're being shown as tigers, alligators, bald eagles and zebras. And as a teacher, I just start the game. So what you'll see now is on your screen, you'll be seeing, and let me just come in here as well for the people that are not on there. Let me just escape this one. While you're going through and working on that game, I'm just going to leave you to do that. I'm just going to join it on this one as well. So I'm going to let people see Tiger, slow down just a little bit so I can get my other screen up. There we go. So I'm just getting, oh, somebody's gone through it already. So I'm waiting for the next round. Okay. So can I get that again? If I play it again, let's go through that again and start it again, just because I wanted to show people that are not joining what it looks like for the students. So if a couple of you can just put a couple of the questions in again, that would be brilliant. You don't need to do the whole lot. Oh, it's not letting me come in. I don't know why. Okay, you're not letting me see it as a student at the moment, but there you go. If you're looking at it on there, all that the students are seeing are the multiple choice questions. For some reason, it's not letting me come in and show you it as a student. It's saying it's already started, but we'd already gave it a chance to show it. But as a teacher, all I'm seeing on my screen is what the progress of the students, and I can stop that at any point. So if whoever's bald eagles just quickly gets to the end of that, I'm obviously alligators because I haven't answered anything. You will get to the end of it nice and quickly, and then we can see what happens at the end of it again. And it should just come up with a congratulations, showing that somebody's won it. And as a teacher, I can see, and we know it's Ben because it says under there. Okay, and I can continue on to the stats and have a little look at that, and I can see what we know from it and go through it as well and look at it with the teacher. So really, really simple to start that off. You saw how easy that was. And what I like about this, which is slightly different to the Kahoot, is that on the students' phones, they see the whole question. They don't just see the answers, which is how traditionally the Kahoot worked. It showed you 4 shapes and you looked at the screen to get your answers. Well, this one, they're working just on their phone. What the teacher's seeing is really secondary, and it doesn't really matter to the students at that point. So I'm going to leave that classic game, and that really is competition based learning. So they've got a game, it's working well for them, and they're playing against each other. Now what they've added in here now, trust you to win there, Ben. I'm just going to quickly look at checkpoint, and I've not used this one actually in a class. I've played around with it, but I've not used it in a class yet. But this one isn't really about speed, whereas the other one was. The other one's about being quick, being first, and actually doing it. But when you do the checkpoint, it's more of an assessment of the student's progress within a lesson. So where I would use this one differently is I would use this either at the start of a lesson to see how much they already know about a subject, or I'd use it at the end of the lesson as the exit ticket. So this is where I would use this one differently. Whereas the original game I would use to liven up the class and just, you know, get a bit of energy going in the class and a bit of competition. But what I like about this, if I had a group of 100 terms in here, if my learning set was 100 words, obviously that would be too much for a checkpoint. So I can just go in and say, well, actually, really, I only want to test as a quick exit ticket 4 words. So I can just create that set with them, and it will let me do that. It's not some reason. Oh, okay, maybe it'll only let me do 6 as a minimum. It's still, so if I had 100, I could select 6 from it. But like the game, the original one, I've still got to create 6 individual words from there. So if this is a longer one, get the sound off again because it comes in really loud. And this time I'm going to get in first before we start the game, just so that we can see what that looks like on the student side. And if anyone wants to join me again, please do that. So I'm going to continue again. Tell us your name. Let's be Wendy on this one. Yeah, I'm in. So this time we'll be able to see what it looks like on both the teacher's side and the student side. Okay, so teacher side is on the left, student side is on the right. And then I'm just going to create that activity. Jump in if you want to, Katie, but don't feel that you have to. I'm just going to click on that create activity. And you can see what it looks like both on the teacher side now and on the student side. So the student gets to choose their answer. Okay. And then when I know all my players have responded, I can continue. So if I know how many people are playing, I can stop the question and move on to the next one. And as a teacher, I can see how many students got the right answer. But at this point on the checkpoint, I'm not seeing individual results. I'm not seeing that my student Ben got this and Katie got this and Erin got that and Wendy got this. This is just about an exit ticket, finding out, have my students as a whole learned this topic? So this is where this one differs. You can see it looks different to the other one. So now what's the name of that? It's a chariot. I can see 2 people have answered. If the third person responds, then I can just continue. But if it doesn't matter if they don't, there we go, and I can continue. So the teacher doesn't have to waste time. When they know everybody's responded, they can actually move it on. So I'll do the next one and I'll just make sure I get this one wrong. So I'm going to put Londinium on this one, just so you can see. So now when I go to this one, it will show me that I've got this one wrong. Now, if a few people got this wrong, then I would know at the end of that lesson, well, maybe I need to revisit that part because students haven't really understood it. So I'm hoping that's shown you the difference between the checkpoint and the classic live game, because that is really what it's done. So 2 different ways of using it. Let's come back in, go back. I'm not going to finish that game. I'm just going to come out. And I've got about 2 minutes left. So I just wanted to show you the last couple of bits. You saw that we created 7 or 8 different activities, 9 maybe with the 2 different games, all from typing in 6 words. That's all we had to do as a teacher. But we can make it even easier than that. So for instance, if I go to my study sets here and I type in, I don't know, let's put Frankenstein in and just try a different subject. So there's one that I've done. I don't want that one. Here's one, 44 terms in it about Frankenstein. Now, what's great about this is somebody's set that we can use, and we can go straight to a game or a study set and link to it. But what I found in the past is if you're fussy or, you know, you see a spelling mistake, I stop using it. I just won't use it if I see there's an error in it. So I don't want to take on someone else's work that's brilliant but got errors in it. So what Quizlet has now let us do is take somebody else's sets and edit it. So you can't do it with all sets. It's only if people have allowed you to do that. So we're not stealing because people have allowed you to do it. But if you go down here and it says customize, when you click on that customize, it's making a copy of the set. This set is now yours to do with what you want with it. You can go through, you can change, you know, you can put your capitals in or anything if you see, or you can just put some images in, or you can delete some of the terms that you don't want to use, and you can use those straight in a live game. I think that's a wonderful addition to it and saves teachers so much time. Share with everybody. So I'm just going back to my flashcards again, showing you one last thing that I think is useful for a lot of teachers is if I go to the bit here, which is the 3 dots, which is the menu, and I go to print. Oops, sorry, let me just get on there. If I go to print, what it's going to print are, it's going to show me what it will look like if I want to make these into matching exercise. You know, when you have an envelope full of cards that students match up, teachers spend ages making these. You know, some teachers just don't have the ability to use tech in the classroom. So if you haven't got that, but students can use Quizlet at home, you can link them to your classroom, but you can still use this to make your paper-based matching exercise as well. And this, again, will save teachers a lot of time. Gone through a lot there. I hope that you like it as much as I do. I really love this. Yeah, come back in and chat to me, Ben.
Thank you so much, Wendy. That was fantastic. Do you know, I've not used Quizlet an awful amount. I've sort of dabbled about with it, but I was joining along with you there, and there's some fantastic things that I'm going to take away and use with my kids from next week as well. So thank you for sharing that with us.
And there's so much free on there already. Those pre-made ones just save you such a lot of time, and being able to customize the free ones, wow, such a time saver. And you know,
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, and just 6 words. That's all I typed all the way through that. So
simple and easy. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
A bit of a saying: if it's for free, it's for me. And that's definitely one of those that I'll take away from today. So
absolutely. And, you know, I like leaving it like this and allowing students and giving them the main link and allowing them to make a choice. That's part of the ISTE bit about, you know, empowering your student, the empowered learner, giving them the choice of which way they want to study these words. But if you know you needed to push out individual types, say if you've got a student that really is struggling with their spelling, once you've got that link, you know that you can just put that in Google Classroom and push it out to the individual students that just need to work on their spelling, and give everybody else a different link to all of them. They wouldn't know because they're not looking at each other's screens. They would all see that they've got the Quizlet. One would see they've got a choice, and the other would see that they've got one that they're being directed to work on. So I think it's a wonderful way of working. They work really nicely together.
And the thing is, it's so simple and quick for teachers to do. You know, teachers don't have a great deal of time, but this, from what I'm seeing right now, is going to save me a lot of time for what I do. So I'm definitely going to share this with my staff as well. So
definitely, whenever I've done coaching with people, you know, the number one thing is I haven't got time. It's always, that's the first thing with teachers. Everyone, we know that's an issue. We know it's the huge issue. And, you know, when I was coaching 2 people recently, and the first thing was I haven't got time. I've been told that I've got to use tech, but I don't have a lot of tech in my classroom. And also I still like to use paper-based resources. And of course, you know, when we're discussing the options, this one just came up to the top of the list. Like, this does everything you need to do. It gives you the paper option. You can put it all on your Google Classroom, but also it's going to save you an awful amount of time. And you know, the teachers that were learning it loved it, and they did find that it actually solved their problems.
And I love the fact that when you go to print it, you can then have that paper resource should you want it as well. You know, it's not like we're being forced. You must use it online. You can't use it if you don't have a computer. You know, you've got that option. And the way they do that for you automatically, I think it's great. You know, you know, really thankful to the Quizlet team for doing that for teachers. It's very good.
Yeah, lovely. And you know, I'm not here to sell any of the stuff, but it's £32 roughly to get an upgrade. And the stuff it can do on the upgrade, you can do things like annotated diagrams and stuff like that. So there's a lot on it you can do. You can add your own voice to the cards as well, stuff like that, your own images. There's lots of things you can do. You can add make classrooms in it, so you've got individual students that you give the whole class to. There's lots of things you can do in the paid version. But as you saw, there's a lot in the free version too. Yeah,
there's that flexibility to be able to do. You know, you've got enough to dabble about with and play with to get yourself started, but you know, there is the option that isn't too expensive for teachers or hopefully for schools to purchase for students to you know have as well, which is really nice.
There is a free trial. You get 2 weeks free trial. And what I say to people is, don't start your free trial as soon as you get in Quizlet. Make some free ones first. get your bearings on the software, what it does, and then once you've worked out what the paid version will do, make a list of what you want to create and use that 2 weeks to knock out a load of resources, because they stay in your account once that trial finishes.
Oh, fantastic. So you don't lose that after the trial either then?
No, you lose the ability
Amazing.
to edit them. So you make sure they're finished, you get someone to check them, but you still get to use them after the free trial. So, use your free trial well. And then by the end of the free trial, a lot of people will go on and buy it. But
Well, it's a fantastic tool, and say I'm sure people, whether they're watching today live or they watch it back, will take that from today's session. That's fantastic.
Well, thanks for joining in, everyone. That was brilliant. That really helped.
Yeah. Well, it's been great to chat with everyone today. I've just got to run through the final few bits before we finish up today. So I'm just going to put my screen back on. Okay, so just if you want any support of anything, Apps Events can support you in a number of ways. So there's James's email just at the bottom. So if you want any support or training or anything, Apps Events are fantastic at supporting you with that. So feel free to drop James an email. And there's an event going on in June this year for a 6 to 8 week duration, which is I've heard really good things about already. So feel free to ask us any questions about that if you'd like to join in. You've already mentioned about becoming ISTE certified, Wendy, and you're probably in a better position to talk about that than myself. But ISTE is a fantastic course, and as you said, empowers students to take ownership as such of their learning, and it's a really good course that Apps Event support alongside ACER as well, being a Google for Education partner. So feel free to check out the link if you're interested in getting involved in this course.
Just to let you know, Ben, AE Learning Lab are the only UK partner for ISTE to deliver ISTE training in the country. So, you've got some brilliant trainers in there, and there are courses already just about to start. So if you're interested, get on there and have a look. It is a course that's agnostic. It's not all about Google. It's not looking at the technology. It's looking at the pedagogy and how you support students with standards, and the type of technology you use is secondary. So you can use it whatever you're using. So for people that like to dabble in lots of different technology, this is one for you, and it really, really does change how you teach.
Well, fantastic. I wasn't even aware that AE Learning Lab are the only build, so thank you for jumping in there and sharing as well. And again, thanks to ACER for supporting us to deliver this summit today, free for all educators. So they've got a whole range of Chromebooks available, that are fantastic in education. We've got lots for our multi-academy trust. So do check out some of the ACER Chromebooks via the link on your screen now. And then last thing for me to say is thank you so much for joining me, Katie and Wendy today. I'm just going to add Katie back in. Thank you so much for joining us all today, and hopefully you've had some takeaway moments and things to go and work on, or things to try in the classroom. Make sure to subscribe and like this video. We do regular videos on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss our latest videos. And I think all that's left to say is good night, and thank you so much for joining us.
Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone.